go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay. Hey guys, my name is DJ Las Vegas, better known as Dale Samuel, as you see on the screen here. I am a artist, a DJ, producer, uh, podcast filmer, music video director, sometimes, uh, podcast host, amateur graphic designer, and overall, good guy, I guess. To some, to you know.
So, it seems like you do like a lot of things and like you're very versatile. And starting with that, I guess like when it came to creating Champ Magazine, like when was it created and like, what made you want to create like Champ Magazine? Like was it like because of like I guess the other American like hip hop magazines like you had Vibe and like XSL?
So yeah, the Source, Vibe, Double XL, there were definitely huge influences in the creation of Champ Magazine. Champ Mag was created by my friend Akwezi Adom, Hollywood, and my boy Michael Murray, M. Dot, rest in peace. And they were in broadcasting school in Humber College out here. And they came together and they started this magazine. Um, a lot of times the industry, the infrastructure out here in Toronto, it was very strange per se. There wasn't a lot of things happening for us, so we wanted to make things happen for ourselves. And when I got with them, I came in as a DJ, hence DJ Las Vegas, and the co-host was Hollywood, right? So Hollywood and DJ Las Vegas with M Dot, you know what I'm saying? So that's how it was created. We created it in 2009, somewhere around that time. And yeah, that's how these guys created it.
And what was like, I guess the magazine like supposed to, I guess, represent? Like, was it supposed to showcase both like I guess how hip hop was in like Toronto or like American hip hop or it was like kind of like for both?
So CHAMP is actually an acronym for Culture, Hip Hop, Arts, Music, and Production. And it was a publication that focused on not only Canadian art, but also American art and worldwide. We didn't stay in the one box. We didn't stay in the one lane.
Hmm. And sorry, just getting the questions. Um With hip hop nowadays, there's been kind of like this like revival of like I guess people on social media talking about, how they miss how hip hop was back in the day, like especially like during the early 2010s and everything. And I just wanted to ask, like, how do you feel about I guess like hip hop now and like especially how you guys captured hip hop like in its prime during that time?
The main difference, and it's not really a difference, it's more of an evolution. Back in the day, there was a lot more artists doing runs, radio runs, interview runs. I would say that evolved to the podcast slash streaming space where a lot of the artists now are going to streamers to do their runs. They're visiting podcasts to do their runs. So in that sense, it's not different. Hence, though, I would say the difference in music then and now would be, I guess, the heart, like the emotions. I think they were a lot in tuned with their feelings back then, where now it's totally about a business. Whereas the music is easy to pick up and play. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't need a $1,000 studio. You don't need hundreds of dollars in studio time. You don't need big camera stuff to get lit in music nowadays. Back then,
Yeah.
you wanted to see the little X videos, the Benny Boom videos. We wanted to see, the flash and bedazzle of a Puff Daddy video with the shiny suits. We wanted to see that. Like that was, oh my God, to us, right? But now it's more reality based, reality focused in nowadays, in the nowadays scene. So I would say those were the two big differences. Now, granted, the one thing that was common was personality, showcasing personality. I feel like when we started Champ in 2009, that was the turn of like vlogging. Like, I think YouTube was just about to open up around the corner or had just opened up. They were very young.
Yep.
So the fact the taking the phone and hey guys, I'm right here, like that was about to boom. Vine was about to explode. Like these little things were about to take place and just change the landscape. So that has always been there under the wing. I guess it just raised the bar in the last 5 years, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense. And like, especially again, like with YouTube, I think started around 2005. So you guys were going, I think, it was YouTube was going 4 years in, so like everybody I think was just starting to get established and everything. And like speaking of getting established, you guys had like a lot of hip hop artists such as like French Montana, you had Wiz Khalifa, you had I think J. Cole was on there, you had a lot of people, I think even Nicki Minaj as well. Like a lot of these artists were just getting established. And now that they are established in the hip hop scene and culture, how do you feel, I guess, like in a way has Chat Magazine like helped them or impacted them or like in a way giving them like almost like a platform?
Yeah, that was technically what it was. Like, I remember Hollywood would send emails to management if they were in the city and be like, hey, how can we attain the opportunity? We're a young platform. And he would go out and send these emails to management, and management liked the way we looked. They liked our presentation, you know what I'm saying? Because we were DVD based, you know what I'm saying, as well. So they loved what we were doing, especially back then where we wrote articles, you know what I'm saying? Or we had people call in. So it was nothing for a call in, you know what I'm saying? We would be at the radio station, online radio station, and Nicki Minaj, we were on the phone with Nicki Minaj, and I remember I was there that day and she was kind of flirting with me and stuff, and it was dope, you know what I mean? Like, so I mean, like, I would say, like, giving them a platform on the Canadian side was probably the most important thing when it came to opening up our side to having artists talk to us.
Exactly.
Minaj, we spoke with Charlemagne the God, Dame Dash, uh, uh, man, we spoke to a lot of people. I think Nia Riley, she used to be with Soldier Boy, Teddy Riley's daughter, right? Um, there were so many people we spoke to, man, over the years, and just looking at them now, like, man, I actually spoke to that Janelle Monáe. I had the opportunity to speak to Janelle Monáe, and she's so huge now. I mean, I think they're trying to cancel her, but she was doing good, and yeah, man, like just looking at these people, man, I spoke to you in the beginning of your career, man. You guys are, it makes me happy, you know what I'm saying? Because that's a part of my history too. You feel me?
Yeah, and that's definitely something you should be like very proud of yourself for. And it's also very inspiring for me as well, as somebody who like has her own radio show as well and like, is trying to speak out to artists as well and just like, yeah, I think that's very inspiring. And like I also want to get into like other than artists, you guys also had like video vixens on like your radio show. And like that also made me wonder how like of course, like with times changing and everything, like how video vixens were pretty much a staple in like the hip hop scene and culture, especially with like with music videos and stuff. And like now, I guess you could say like video vixens definitely has changed. Like I don't know if that term is still like around because more so people would say I guess models, but it was very different because I guess like maybe you guys really did picture like not picture but like capture like what is it the essence of a video vixen like how much there's a difference between being a video vixen and being a model as well. So I did also wanted to ask like like what do you think of I guess like mm, how much I guess the whole video vixen thing has changed, like what video vixen did you have on your like your radio show and like and everything?
Like I mentioned, we had Nia Riley. She was a model slash video vixen back in the day. Man, we had a couple. I honestly can't remember. I know Hollywood spoke to a lot of the video vixens, but I would say the video vixens of today now are just influencers. Influencers with look. Like I would say if there was some sort of music video scene now, it would have been Alexa Sky. She would be a video vixen, and females like that. So it really hasn't changed per se. It's just the format, the way how it's presented is
Mhm.
changed, but it's still video vixen, it's still the same kind of lane.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because I've seen like I guess especially on TikTok where like people will kind of bring up the fact like with like and especially on YouTube as well, there'll like be video verses be like, oh like this video Vixen and like how she was back in the day and like how much I guess like she impacted like the hip hop scene or like girls will also be like like I wish video vixens would come back or like imagine if I was like a video vixen and stuff like that. So there's been much of like definitely a revival on like a lot of like things that happens like with hip hop in like the early 2010s and like going to the also the mid 2000s as well. And like I also wanted to ask, when it came to I guess back on the also the interview thing, when it came to I know you explained it before, but like if you want to go more into depth about it, like what was the process like, I guess interviewing like, any hip hop artists you want to bring up?
So yeah, we look for management, a contact to management. Or I guess, okay, how I would do it in 2025, it would technically be similar. So, uh, okay, back then we had to find management's email. Once we find management's email, it's a simple draft of the email. Hey, my name is Vagez from Champ Radio. We're an interview platform out of Toronto, Ontario. I realized that you guys are coming down to the city, or I realized that you guys are dropping a project. We would really love to have you talk to your Canadian audience on the platform. I was just wondering, how could we obtain that opportunity? If you can please email us back, and then whatever. That's how we would obtain our interviews. I know that because I asked Hollywood, what is a script? And he said it to me, and I used to do the same thing. And I guess these days it's easy, but I don't think management and stuff, they're not really receptive. So like you would have to hit up their Instagram and hopefully they'd message you back. And then if you follow up with the email and you follow up with people around them. So um it's a lot more harder nowadays to acquire interview guests and stuff like that, because they're not really talkative, or they're not really, like, I don't know, they're not really receptive anymore. But I feel like that's coming back very soon with the whole podcast boom, and especially the streaming boom with Boy and Max doing his thing, and Kai Cenat and I Show Speed. Like, these guys are just breaking through. Aiden Ross too, just breaking through what I'm saying, the barriers of, like, what is an interviewer from this. Like, you always see Elliot Wilson get so upset about it, like, where even the older artists are having their own shows and doing interview platforms. So it's changing, and the ways to get to an artist is changing as well. But I feel like consistency. I remember this guy from out here, Two Lined Hut. He interviews a lot of dancehall reggae artists, and he said sometimes he'll be messaging artists for a year straight before he gets the talent onto his show. So honestly, it's just consistency and just keeping up, and showing you're active, and showing that you want to interview that person. I feel like, though, I know you're in New York, I think it's a little bit easier once you're in a circle per se, whether you pay money or not to be in that circle. I feel like once an artist does its run, and it's kind of like a lobby, like, hey, we were just on Bag Fuel. All right, hit up Tatiana. She has a little platform here. You'll go over there. You know what I'm saying? It's more of like a little circle that going on, because I see people on Black Fool. They'll be on Joe Budden. They'll be on academics. They'll be like everywhere, kind of like in a week span. Like ESTG, for instance, he was like everywhere. Breakfast Club, this, that, of course. So it's like they have a little run going on in New York. And I really respect the New York media scene for always being in the loop and having the artist kind of do its rounds. That's what's missing out here in Toronto. We have so many platforms, so many podcasts, and it's like, okay, if an artist is coming down here, like I think Rolly from Bad Girls, from Baddies is supposed to be down here. Like, Rolly should be on a run. Rolly should be visiting my podcast. She should be visiting Extra Gravy. She should be living a We Love Hip. Like she should be doing her runs. But I don't know. It's gonna take time, I guess, for everybody to figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely see that, from your perspective as well. It's very much different with the whole interviewing process and everything. And that I can also relate to. Like even though being here in New York, like especially when reaching out to like artists' management and everything, so most of the time it's you gotta reach out to them like through what is it, Instagram. And like sometimes like you also get a bit picky because it's like then like which one are they going to be more responsive more? Is it going to be on their Instagram or is it going to be through email? So sometimes you have to do both. And like they'll also leave a phone number as well, but sometimes it wouldn't always work as well. So communication definitely, since it's a big like key when it comes to broadcasting and everything. But yeah, sometimes it can't be like a challenge and that's something that hard to handle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when it came to, I guess, Chat Magazine also stopping, is that something you also want to get into? Like, why did it eventually end or yeah.
I believe it was just everybody's real life came into play, and we just didn't technically have the time, you know. I think everybody was getting older. Everybody wanted to do, I guess, their own thing, and it's sad because Chat Magazine, especially out here in Toronto, was so ahead of its time that we would have benefited from everything that we've done in the past now. All the people we interviewed, all the relationships we could have kept, all the things that we could have done, you know what I'm saying, in the media world, we would have been a lot more further. I just want to say that the reason why Champ done, in my opinion, too, and everybody would have their opinion, is just everybody just went their own way, everybody kind of just split, which is sad.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. And like, that's why I also wanted to ask, like, because of the revival now of like people now appreciating, I'm not saying like old hip hop, but I guess hip hop back in the day, would you bring back, I guess, Champ Magazine in a way, to like, I guess, interview the artists that you did interview in the past and like do, I guess, kind of like if this makes sense, like a update type of thing, like, or like, and also show more of like Toronto, like, like this is what you guys were doing back in the day and like, again, giving both a platform to not only like American hip hop artists, but also Toronto hip hop artists as well, and just opening doors for both sides.
You're talking about doing like a 15 years later or something like that, right? That
Yeah.
that would be so dope. And honestly, that would be really up to Hollywood, right? If he wants to do that again, like if he wants to maybe have Champ come back for for like just a limited run. I know this guy out here named Russian. He did a Toronto DVD 20 years ago called the Real Toronto DVD. It was like it was similar to Smack, you know what I'm saying? Where he would go to the hoods and he'll visit the different neighborhoods in the city and they would freestyle and stuff. He's actually working on it 20 years later because it's 2025 now, which is 20 years to the date of when he filmed. So he's actually right now doing a 20 years later like and visiting everybody that he's visited on the pod on his DVD. So definitely it's open. I'll definitely open and I'll ask him if he ever was really interested because Champ Magazine, it's not technically over. It still lives on through me. Through my podcast. I'm still kind of carrying the torch of the interview podcast thing. So I mean, it's alive. It's just more of like, hey, we're lit. What do you guys want to do? The door is open. Do you guys want to bring it back, Champ, or in some
Yeah.
form of fashion, or what? you know,
Yeah.
balls in court at the end of the day because everything is here for them. If Halls want to come back, if what I'm saying, anybody else that was involved, we're here.
Yeah. And hopefully that's something we can see definitely in the future again, like a 15 years like anniversary. And like it also when you bring up with like, CDs and everything, it reminds me like how I guess the format with like a lot of hip hop magazines today and like how I guess they're running their own thing, do you think maybe because again with the revival of so many things, like people are also talking about, like CDs and like, mixtapes and like, people, having like cassette players and like also CD players as well and everything. It's like it's a trend, but like, do you think like more, I guess, hip hop magazines should kind of follow that format you guys were following, having that CDs, but also having like, I know how everybody has a website, but like kind of in a way,
So right now, the trend, as you speak of, is preserving physical media.
Mm.
And I think it's very important to preserve physical media with streaming. And I talked to my friend about this the other day. He was like, with streaming, yeah, everything is kind of like presented to you. But like, what happens when a company loses rights to that film and all of a sudden it's all gone? What
Yeah.
if you were the 1 in 100 person with this, you know what I'm saying, with this last DVD that this person made or this company made, you know? What if you were the last person to have a CD player? You know what I'm saying? Like Sony doesn't make this no more. So how much is this going to be worth to you in the next 10 years? You know what I'm saying? Oh, look at this. What's this going to be worth in the next 20? So like, yeah, like physical media is so important. And I'm glad you brought up that point. I started to collect Xboxes and you know what I'm saying? And I feel like Xbox games as well. I want to buy these games. I want to make sure that, hey, if there's any kind of thing that happened where the internet was to go down for a week, at least I have my, you know what I'm saying, physical media to hold me under. Because what if we're dependent on streams so much, then we really could do nothing.
Mm.
We really could do nothing once this phone goes down for 2 weeks and it's like, what do I do now?
Exactly. Exactly. And that's why I collect like a lot of cassette tapes and a lot of also CDs as well. Because again, like there's so much you can fall back on, but if you don't have that physical media, then it's just what else is there, you know? So yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, that definitely makes sense. And like, do you feel like now when it comes to a lot of, I guess, hip hop magazines, um, if you like if you're still like catching up on some of them, like I guess like, the Fader, like again, like with like Double XL and like also like with there's Vibe. Um, is Vibe still relevant or is it kind of still coming back?
So Vibe has now become like a website, vibe.com. Same with the source.com. Double XL does its freestyles. I think the most important magazines in a sense, but it's more digital magazine is like Complex.
Yeah.
Complex is like one of the most popular ones. Fader, like you said, Fader, people love Fader, you know what I'm saying? It's all digital now. Like, you know, I haven't really seen a physical magazine in so long. And I know it's still made, you know. I'm pretty sure I could pass by the store and see, you know, like physical magazines, but like if everything is at the helm of your phone, unfortunately,
Yeah.
we're going to go to our phone, you know, naturally.
Yeah.
But I mean, but like I don't think those mediums should stop being maybe cheaper, maybe down the price. But then again, it's all business. How much is it gonna take to print a book? You know what I'm saying? $5, and you're gonna want your profit. You know what I'm saying? And you're gonna want a friggin' you're gonna want your money back to print, and you're gonna want your profit. So you're gonna have to still sell it at a certain amount. You know? So I don't know. It's yeah, it's I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. Everything is definitely more digital and like I guess we definitely do rely on that again. And I think that's why again like everybody is just kind of caught up with, we're not really this year moving forward, kind of moving backwards. Like there's some people who miss that, like, especially on TikTok, that like 2016, that 2015 like filter, our phones used to have. And there's actually people like buying old like iPhone 6 or whatnot just to achieve that like filter. So I think that's just like it's very, in a way kind of like an escape, but still, yeah. And like one more thing, I guess, on, Champ Magazine as well. Let's see. Yeah, is there anything I guess you would do differently, when you look back on Champ Magazine? Or are you like satisfied with the outcome with Champ Magazine?
The one thing I would do different is not stop. That's it. I think we did everything well. We did everything of standard. Um, we did the best that we could have done at the time given. I think the one thing that we shouldn't have done was stop. We would be like the premier media people if we continued Chat Magazine. And I guess that's with anything that you do in life, if you love something, you
Yeah,
want to be in that field, you don't stop. You just continuously hammer down until you find that path that makes you successful and happy. But
exactly.
I don't take away anything that I've done with Champ. I learned a lot. It got me to a great position in my life. It got my hunger going. As of like I said, right now I am doing a podcast and I produce a lot more from my workplace and I'm a part of a reality show, and that's if it wasn't for Champ, a lot of those experiences, a lot of those learning things, the research, especially the research aspect of things, I
Yeah,
wouldn't have known that. I wouldn't have known that.
yeah. Well, it really does seem like, Champ in a way has that's why I feel like it's so underrated. Like, oh, it really feels like, you guys still are part of the hip hop culture, even though being a Canadian based magazine, still you still play a part in that American like hip hop scene and everything. And like, do you maybe also want to go into like, I guess like how you feel about that impact, especially how it's also kind of impacting me? Because like this is the first time I heard about Chat Magazine and everything, and like looking through a YouTube and seeing you had like Gutta Gutta on there, and like I remember him watching him from Bedrock and everything. So it's just kind of like almost a bit of a childhood thing, but
No,
yeah,
no, yeah, I mean, yeah, like the impact. You can't take away, someone's impact. It's honestly just hard work. You could have done the same thing. Look at Jazzy. Lil Jazzy just interviewed Jai Vibes Cartel. Like she's gonna be probably the most impactful person in the next 5 years as a child. You know what I'm saying? The impact and the influence that I feel that we had across both states. I mean, people don't need to talk about it. Once I tell people my resume and my history, and just like you're just like, wow, like you guys should be talked about more. We will be in due time. My children will talk about me. My grandchildren will talk about me. You know what I'm saying? My mom was proud of me. Like so, like I don't really care about my impact now. I care about more of how my legacy will look in the future, how my friend's legacy is going to look in the future. That's when I would be like, okay, we were really impactful. Like, we're still like young, we're still doing our thing, we're still active, we still can move around. So as long as I can move around, what I'm saying, I want to definitely impact both sides, what I'm saying, America and Canada, what I'm saying? We need to do more to bridge those bonds, but what I'm saying, all we can do is try and continue to see just, what I'm saying, continue to just do the best work we can.
yeah. And is there anything else, I guess, you want to add before we close out the interview?
Um, not just like I said, just work. If you love something, don't let it go. Work hard at it. You know what I'm saying? If you want to talk to somebody, keep bothering them until what I'm saying, talk to somebody. If you want your face to be known, keep putting your face out there till they get sick of you or until they start listening. That's the key to success in business, and anything that you want to do. And that's about it, man.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. And actually, that advice also re resonates with me as well. And like I always try to tell myself, like going through this business, like just to be me and always do me. But
Yes,
yeah. But thank you again so much.
no
Um,
problem.
it was really great to hear more about like Chat Magazine and just like your perspective again, just like hip hop and also like I guess everybody also kind of missing, old hip hop too. But thank you
Yes,
again.
no problem.